Okay, for my presentation, I'm doing a book that won the Caldecott Award, and that book is Officer Buckle and Gloria. And this book is by Peggy Rathman. So, Officer Buckle and Gloria. Officer Buckle knew more safety tips than anyone else in Natville. Every time he thought of a new one, he thumbtacked it to his bulletin board. Safety tip number 77, never stand on a swivel chair. Officer Buckle shared his safety tips with the students at Natville School. Nobody ever listened. Sometimes there was snoring. Afterward, it was business as usual. Mrs. Topple, the principal, took down the welcome banner. Never stand on a swivel chair, said Officer Buckle, but Mrs. Topple didn't hear him. Then one day, Natville Police's department bought a police dog named Gloria. When it was time for Officer Buckle to give the safety speech at the school, Gloria went along. Children, this is Gloria, announced Officer Buckle. Gloria obeys my commands. Gloria, sit. And Gloria sat. Officer Buckle gave safety tip number 1. Keep your shoelaces tied. The children sat up and stared. Officer Buckle checked to see if Gloria was sitting at attention. She was. Safety tip number 2, said Officer Buckle. Always wipe up spills before someone slips and falls. The children's eyes popped. Officer Buckle checked on Gloria again. Good dog, he said. Officer Buckle thought of a safety tip he had discovered that morning. Never sit on a thumbtack where you might sit on it. Never leave a thumbtack where you might sit on it. The audience roared. Officer Buckle grinned. He said the rest of the tips with plenty of expression. The children clapped their hands and cheered. Some of them laughed until they cried. Officer Buckle was surprised. He had never noticed how funny safety tips could be. After this safety speech, there wasn't a single accident. The next day, an enormous envelope arrived at the police station. It was stuffed with thank you letters from the students at Natville School. Every letter had a drawing of Gloria on it. Officer Buckle thought the drawing showed a lot of imagination. His favorite letter was written on a star-shaped piece of paper. It said, You and Gloria make a good team. Your friend Claire. P.S. I always wear a crash helmet. Safety tip number 7. Officer Buckle was thumbtacking Claire's letter to his bulletin board when the phone started ringing. Grade schools, high schools, and daycare centers were calling about the safety speech. Officer Buckle, they said, our students want to hear your safety tips, and please bring along that police dog. Officer Buckle told his safety tips to 313 schools. Everywhere he and Gloria went, children sat up and listened. After every speech, Officer Buckle took Gloria out for ice cream. Officer Buckle loved having a buddy. Then one day, a television news team videotaped Officer Buckle in the State College auditorium. When he finished safety tip number 99, do not go swimming during electrical storms, the students jumped to their feet and applauded. Bravo, bravo, they cheered. Officer Buckle bowed again and again. That night, Officer Buckle watched himself on the 10 o'clock news. The next day, the principal of Natville School telephoned the police station. Good morning, Officer Buckle. It's time for our safety speech. Officer Buckle frowned. I'm not giving any more speeches. Nobody looks at me anyway. Oh, said Mrs. Topple. Well, how about Gloria? Could she come? Someone else from the police station gave Gloria a ride to the school. Gloria sat on stage looking lonely. Then she fell asleep. So did the audience. After Gloria left, Natville had its biggest accident ever. It started with a puddle of banana pudding. Splat, splatter, sploosh. Everyone slid smack into Mrs. Topple, who screamed and let go of her hammer. The next morning, a pile of letters arrived at the police station. Every letter had a drawing of the accident. Officer Buckle was shocked. At the bottom of the pile was a note, written on a paper star. Officer Buckle smiled. The note said, Gloria missed you yesterday. Your friend Claire. P.S. Don't worry. I was wearing my helmet. Safety tip number 7. Gloria gave Officer Buckle a big kiss on the nose. Officer Buckle gave Gloria a nice pat on the back. Then Officer Buckle thought of his best safety tip yet. Safety tip number 101. Always stick with your buddy. So that was the book Officer Buckle and Gloria, which won the Caldecott. And I feel like this book was leans more towards the TCP side than the not TCP side, just for a lot of reasons. But a big reason would be because, like, all the pictures in this book, like as you can see, especially this one, is very like cartoonish, and they're not like realistic at all, but they're obviously hand drawn, and art cartoon, and it also uses lots of primary bright colors. Even just like the title page, you can see all the colors on, but each and every page is colorful, not one black and white page. Even this has a big white background, but still has color on it, and they're all just very colorful. And then there are some parts of the book that are not so much TCP, like that don't really like give TCP, that makes it lean towards more towards the not TCP side. And some of those would be like the fact that it's not a child as the main character. It's a middle-aged man being the main character, and it only like it mentions children in the school, but they're not main characters in the book. So that's very different. And since he's a older man, there's obviously no parents in the story, and there's also not like a safe place he goes back home to. So there's not like a safe home in the story. So that's very not on the TCP side, with there not being a home. Not it only mentions, it doesn't really mention his home once, but it shows what you would think would to be his home when he is watching the news. And that's like the only spot it ever mentions a home in. So it's just very unclear that like there's no home. Like this would be the only part you would show that could be a home, and he's in pajamas. But anyway, so that makes it lean towards the not TCP side. And but like back to the more of a TCP side, it has a very low stake conflict, and it has a happy ending. And so the conflict is just that Officer Buckle feels like nobody's paying attention to him, but at the end of the day, the school would not be able to run without him, and they need him to be there to tell them all the safety tips. So overall, I really enjoyed this book, and I think it would be very good to teach in a classroom setting, but I feel like it leaned more towards the TCP side than not the TCP side. Thank you.